Welcome back to the NBL Canada podcast. We are joined by our Atlantic Division correspondent, Vince Williams, who's going to break down all of the action and things happening on the East Coast. We will start with the Island Storm, 8-14. We know Brian Addison had a big week, and it appears that financially the organization is in a great position. What else is going on down on the island?
Well, I tell you what, they did well. I mean, in preparation for their game, had a few things happening just before the game. First, they had a couple departures. Their starting center, Nick Evans, who decided to leave the team for personal reasons, and then their point guard, Josiah Turner, he also left the team because of dental issues, and then only decided that he wasn't going to return to the team. So going into that game, Coach Salerno had a lot of things to deal with, just the off-court issues with the team and trying to get this team to play some solid basketball. But however, it didn't faze them. I mean, they got it done. They got it done on their home court. They were able to beat the Miracles 120-104. So I mean, they had 7 guys in double digits. I mean, the performance on the afternoon was definitely led by Brian Addison, as you mentioned. He went 11 for 15 from the field. He had 10 rebounds, finishing with 26 points. I mean, it was an outstanding game for him. He was named Player of the Week for the NBL Canada. So, I mean, you can't count Coach Salerno's team out. You just can't count Coach Salerno. He's a smart guy. He can get things done. He knows how to bring in the right pieces, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be not as, easy transition for his teams they usually have year in, year out. In his 5th season, this is probably the most challenging one with the shuffling of his lineup and bringing in multiple players. But I would definitely say they're definitely going to be a team to deal with down the stretch going into the playoffs.
The 9-13 Moncton Miracles honored the late Ian Fowler. What a memorable and fantastic thing that they did for that family. And moving forward, they are in good hands. The Moncton Miracles currently 9-13, scoring 110 points per game. What's going on with this team that seems to be able to score the basketball at will, but have really been struggling defensively?
Well, it was a memorable night. I mean, they had a lot of people in attendance there. They were able to get a huge crowd. They were able to perform well as well. I mean, the River Lions really didn't really have a chance in this one, to be honest with you. I mean, they had outstanding offensive performances from Dexter Strickland as well as Brian Kearney. I mean, they led the way. Kearney was 9 for 15 from the field. He was 6 for 10 from three-point range, capping the night off for 25 points. Strickland also had a hot night shooting. He was 8 for 10 from the field. He finished with 22 points. I mean, it was just one of those nights offensively for Coach Paul McKeskey and his team. I mean, they can score. They can get it done. They're a team down here that can fill the basket up and attack the basket and beat you in multiple ways offensively. Now, where things need to really turn around is they need to be able to close games out. I mean, they need to close games out and defend late. That's the issue with them right now.
I got to agree with you there, Vince. They are scoring 110.7 points per game, but allowing opponents to score 110.3, so the scoring margin is just 0.4. Now, we will talk about the surging St. John's Mill Rats. Coach Rob Spahn, coach of the month for the NBL Canada. He went 6-1, I believe, 75 total wins, good for 4th of all time. That team is surging. They've also beat the Halifax Hurricanes 5 of 6 times that they've played. They seem to be firing on all cylinders behind the always dynamic Anthony Anderson.
Yeah, it was an explosive game for them. I mean, it was just another one of those things. They're pretty close in the first 3 quarters and 3 to 4 quarters, but the separation definitely came in the third quarter, where the Mill Rats used a 36-16 third quarter explosion to basically separate themselves after, trailing by 4 points in that game. Doug Herring Jr. paced Coach Rob Spahn's team. He had 26 points. He was like 7 for 13 for shooting from the field. He knocked down 3 triples, and he went perfect from the charity stripe, 10 for 10. And once again, Gabe Freeman, stepped up. That guy is a tough guy to guard in his position. It hasn't been so solved down here in the Atlantic Division, and he's making a serious push as MVP candidate in the league this year. He chipped in with his consistent numbers. He was 7 for 13 from the field. He also had 3 triples of his own, and he finished up with 19 points. And a very important month for the Mill Rats as they show that they could get it done, not only at home, but they were able to get it done on the road as well. Like, this team is resilient, and Coach Bond, he demands a lot from his team. Demands that, they're able to also score the basketball, but also defend. And that's the one key thing, that they can defend when they need to.
Yeah, the St. John's Millrats have 3 players in the top 10 in scoring, so they are a dynamic force, 111 a game. But what do the 14-6 Halifax Hurricanes gotta do to create that separation? They are allowing opposing teams to score 101 points, so we know this is a defensively sound team. But what do they need to do going forward to really make a push and close this thing out?
Well, some things defensively with the Hurricanes has been, just recognizing and recovering. The pick and roll game, defending it has been a little bit of a struggle. They've been coming on as of late and doing some good jobs and good things in that regard. But if you look at the box scores and look at the way they have lost games to the Millrats, it's not the whole body of the game. It's just basically spots of the game. Say a quarter here, a quarter there, where there's that separation. Several conversations I've had with Coach Hugo Lopez in regarding to his team and how they should play and how they're able to generate W's. It always comes down to defense. It always comes down to defending. It's always come down to rebounding. It's always been coming down to winning the 50-50 balls and getting the loose balls. Those things have to be addressed. If those things can be addressed because they can score, I mean, they're a very good, a good choice to go forward and be the Atlantic Division representative. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough and difficult, as the Millrats have shown. They've been very consistent in beating them, and they have a huge gap right now, even though they're tied in the standings because of the head-to-head record. The Millrats are leaps and bounds in front as the number 1 seed in the Atlantic Division. But it's a long season to go, and anything can happen.
And I expect a roller coaster ride from the Atlantic Division. Vince, I want to thank you so much for joining us today and providing your insight.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me, as always.
Vince Williams, your Atlantic Division